this has been a perfect name for 45. 45 whiner in chief, because that's all he ever does is whines like a little bitch. One of the central challenges that 45 has faced over the course of his squadancy is the need to keep supporters in a state of constant agitation. It's an unending task because while you can get people angry enough to stomp to the polls to express their outrage once we've won, it becomes hard to maintain that energy. The last thing you want is for them to feel satisfied, which could lead to complacency. Which is why 45 weaves a narrative of constant victimhood, telling his supporters not only that they are besieged and brutalized, but also that no one is more a victim than him, which is not true. There has surely never been a squatter who spent so much time complaining. The media aren't good enough to me. I'm not getting the credit I deserve. The Democrats don't give me due process. My toilet isn't well enough. It's unfair. It's unfair. It's unfair. At times, this narrative is absurd and comical, and at times it's incredibly dangerous. Much of the time, it's both. So it is. So it was that the squatter's favorite TV show, the Festival of Nincompoopery, that is Foe and Friends, ran a segment Thursday expressing outrage over the fact that the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation cut out 45 7-second cameo appearance in the 1992 film Home Alone 2: Lost in New York for broadcast, a crime plainly worthy of extended discussion on national television. The inevitable response came in a condemning tweets from both the squatter and his firstborn son to their millions of followers, delivering the day's instruction on what to be angry about. I said, hell, I said, hell, you can fucking. I said, if you want to fucking see 45 7-second pointless cameo in Home Alone 2, fucking watch it on YouTube or go out and buy the fucking movie. There's no reason to get your fucking panties in a wad because they cut it out. CNN's Daniel Day, who was both an indefatigable fact checker and openly Canadian, explained that the real story is that starting in 2014, the CBC cut out eight minutes out of the two-hour movie to make room for commercials, including many other scenes besides 45's cameo. But no matter, it's just one more example of how snooty, elitist, poutine-sucking foreigners treat 45 so terribly unfair. His ability to take offense and his devotees' ability to be offended on his behalf is without limit. That is in many ways the tie that binds all the disparate types of people who stand behind 45, from Rust Belters to white evangelicals to white billionaires and white supremacists. The sense that they have been victimized and disrespected, and the desire to hit back at those who they believe have mistreated them. To be clear, many of those people have genuine reason to feel aggrieved, not the billionaires, of course. The system has indeed failed people whose communities were devastated by the loss of manufacturing jobs and the decline of labor unions. When conservative Christians lament that modern society is hostile to many of their values, they're right. If you're puzzled about why the former continue to support 45 despite the fact that he seeks to make their economic lives worse by enhancing the power of economic elites, or why the latter continue to support him despite his personal policy and immorality, this is part of the answer. 45 might spin ludicrous fantasies for them of how he'll turn their world into a paradise, but he also encourages them to. There are no condescending lectures to 45 blowers about pulling on their bootstraps to solve their problems. The message is simple: you have been wronged, and you should be pissed. And inevitably, as with everything, he turns attention back toward himself. This is one of the less obvious sources of 45's appeal. Though he was handed millions of dollars by his daddy, he never stops talking about how he's the victim. It establishes a connection with his voters. I'm just like you, he tells them, because those jerks are trying to keep me down too. Sometimes it comes out in juvenile complaints about things like what's on TV in Toronto this week, but it has a much darker side, one that Trump has eagerly fed, as 45 has eagerly fed. As the United States has grown more diverse in recent years and expanded ever so slowly, the rights and portion of power granted to women and people of color, white men have felt a profound sense of loss. That sense is expressed in any number of ways, some more aggressive than others. You can see it on Faux News, where the belief that white men are under siege is the flip side to the constant warnings about criminal immigrants and the minorities. You can see it in the Jews will not replace those chants in Charlottesville from those the squatter called very fine people. You can see it in Dylan Roof's hope to start a new race war with an act of mass murder. Though he may have been privileged from the moment of his birth, 45 understands that sense of loss well and organizes his squatter bit around it. When he said he'd build a wall and make Mexico pay for it, he was right in the story of the white man's dignity retained. regained through humiliation and domination of the foreign other. His failure to deliver on that promise and many others makes the task of keeping his supporters angry and aggrieved all the more urgent. So make no mistake, amidst what is sure to be a campaign of uncommon, perhaps unprecedented brutality directed at his Democratic opponent, 45 would never stop whining all the way to next November. Another thing was, I wanted to bring this up too, was I was reading another article. It was a very short one, but the article stated that since 45 started squatting in the White House in 2017, he has told over 15,143 something like that lies since he started squatting, and that's not even 3 years in the office. And I said, you still got what 2 or 3 more days left in the month of December, and who knows how many lies he's going to tell in the next 3 days. It could be 16,000 by the end of the year or by next year. And that's sad.